Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we're discussing the TAG Heuer Carrera Dato Hodinkee Limited Edition, a 250-piece stainless steel limited series dedicated to the 1965 reference 3147N, which was the first Carrera with a date. This watch follows in the path of that one with vintage style, vintage Heuer branding, and a modern Heuer 02 movement, all in a 39mm case that is 14.5 millimeters thick, 47.8 millimeters from lug tip to lug tip, and 19 millimeters between the lugs. The timepiece wears easily on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, and as you can see, it's a fairly striking watch for its size. You normally don't think of 39 as a bold size, but this watch, with its broad thrusting angular lugs and its rather squat case, imposing domed sapphire, and broad black dial, really does have the look of a much larger timepiece. I would recommend it because of the relatively short distance across the wrist. For a wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference, though 14 might be ideal since it does appear so substantial. The timepiece is relatively simple in detail, but handsome in its refinements. You can see the strap a little bit more upscale than you'd expect on a vintage watch. Full alligator leather, large rectangular scale black, a little bit of bolstering, monotone stitch, sheer cut side, and then on the underside a regular calfskin with a remarkable architecture. As you see, there are no perforations in the strap. There's a clasp, which like everything else on the watch is Heuer, not TAG Heuer branded, a twin trigger release, and then you pop it open, and you can see that internally it has a clasping system where you actually insert the strap through, you clamp it, and then all of the excess length goes through the clasp under the strap, and there's no need for minder loops because it crimps rather than perforates with a pin. There are no holes in the strap, so the strap lasts longer because it's not being gouged by a pin buckle. And again, because you do have the twin trigger release, it cannot pop open accidentally. Now, flipping over to the case band, this is what made the Carrera famous. From 1963, those broad, striking, dominating lugs, they are the single most prominent feature of the entire watch. They are blended into the case band, but they're broad, they're tall, but thin when viewed from head on. Now, if you look, they're also angular on their inner facets, which gives them a nuance that's a little bit lost if you're only looking at the watch from side profiles. Of course, Jack Heuer helped to pen this original watch, and it's probably the single most enduring case design that Heuer or TAG Heuer have ever coined. There's a narrow bezel. You can see it's sunken slightly below the peaks of the lugs so that the lugs don't get cut off, but you also don't wind up with an excessively thick watch. We do have a sapphire here. While it looks like plexiglass, it is a domed and cambered sapphire that's designed to produce some of the off-axis distortion of sapphire, but without the scratch susceptibility of sapphire. We have a Heuer branded crown, vintage pump style pushers, and on the dial, surprise, more Heuer branding. Also, a paucity of printing. Carrera, Heuer, Swiss. That's it, and that's all it needs. The watch features applique indices, which are a combination of polishing and satination on their facets that makes for a nice twinkling, glittering contrast with the dial base. We have baton-style hands that are rhodium-plated and fluted down their center, again for better contrast. A white varnished lancet-style counterweighted seconds hand. A silver and sunken sub-minute style for the chronograph. You can see it features an azurage concentric pattern inboard. We have a double index at 12 o'clock. There is a track outboard for reading fractions of seconds, and then we have a frame for the date. On the original model, we would have had a Landeron 189 movement, a manual wind chronograph caliber with the date at 9 o'clock. This is the Heuer 02. It's been fitted into this handsomely sized case, and as you could see, celebrating 160 years of TAG Heuer. This was a model that came out for 2020. This is the commemorative rotor. Inside, we have their Heuer 02 movement, which went through several fits and starts over the years before finally coming to market, first as a tourbillon and then as a conventional chronograph. It's an automatic winder with an 80-hour power reserve. It beats away at 28,800 vibrations per hour. It pivots on 33 joules. It has a column wheel for crisp actuation and a vertical clutch for smooth starting. And you can also leave the chronograph running full time thanks to the vertical clutch. Now it has a hacking seconds function. I guess it's a hacking function you will only realize if the chronograph is running. But again, because it's a vertical clutch chronograph, you can leave the chronograph running full time. If you just want to treat the chronograph seconds hand as your running seconds, then we have hours, minutes, and seconds, and we have a quick set function for the date so we can rapidly cycle that. So it is hacking as well as a quick set date. Now the movement is mechanically finished but handsome. It's a good looking caliber. You could see the balance. You could see some of the underlying gear train. And you can see at the head of the movement, the column wheel peeking out from underneath. This is Heuer's, or TAG Heuer's, I should say, own movement. It is their own work, and it is built at their own factory, which was constructed specifically for this caliber. Unlike the vintage watch, it's 100 meters water resistant, so if you throw it on a water resistant band, you can swim with it. The watch does feature sufficient luminescence by night. It is a true sports watch. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.